Matt Campbell could get Beau Pribula, and that's not the only name to know for Penn State.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, the number one sports podcast network out there. Thank you all so much, especially my everydayers, for helping make that the case. Big portal names to know, 2 receivers and 2 running backs that you've got to be aware of. And best bets are back because there are enough games for me to put together another losing week. This episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So, a couple names with Penn State that would just be massive wins for Matt Campbell. First one, Beau Pribula. Now, when he went into the portal, surprised me a little bit because Missouri's a good team, good program, good situation. Does that mean Eli Drinkwitz has one foot out the door for the Michigan job? I don't think that's an automatic indicator. But the schools that popped into my head were Penn State, because that's where he came from. The coach he was under there, James Franklin, is now at Virginia Tech. His offensive coordinator from this past year, Kirby Moore, is the head coach at Washington State. If the Cougs pulled that one off and beat out Penn State and Virginia Tech, and I'm sure others who have a higher profile than Washington State, that would be a coup and a half for Kirby Moore and company. That would be a big-time statement over there in the Pac-12. Do I think that's happening? No. But for Matt Campbell at Penn State, he tried to keep an edge rusher around. He's going to enter the transfer portal. Good player. But of course, quarterback is the most important position. And so, in year one of an 8-year contract at Penn State, with how all of this unfolded over the last several months, and the schedule that Penn State has, I think there is a decent amount of pressure for Matt Campbell to win in year one. I don't think he has to win a Big Ten championship. I don't think he has to Kurt Signetti this thing. I don't know if he even has to go to the playoff. But anything less than 8 wins with that schedule, and questions are going to arise, and they might not be super friendly. So bringing in a guy in Beau Pribula who knows the area, who knows the school, and has proven he can be the starting quarterback for a winning football team, pretty darn good. Oh, by the way, I don't think he's played anywhere close to his best football. Before he got hurt this season, was completing 67% of his passes, but 11 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. There's a next gear. There is another level of production Beau Pribula can unlock. So I think that could be a good investment, not just for 2026, but for 2027 and beyond. Because he's got at least 1 year of eligibility left, and hey, you know what? This is college football. Who's to say he won't get a 5th or a 6th or a 7th? I don't know. I'm just spitballing on that particular front. The other name that is reportedly out there being tied to Penn State is D'Anton Lynn. This would be arguably an even bigger move than bringing in Beau Pribula. D'Anton Lynn, for those who don't know, is currently the defensive coordinator at USC. And the Trojans have recently announced that they re-signed a bunch of players. Year-to-year free agency. It's not the craziest word in the world to use when describing these situations. Jade Maava is back, a couple of other guys. They have the number 1 recruiting class coming in. D'Anton Lynn has been an integral part of USC's kind of mini rebuild. Like they fell off relative to what they're capable of, but they have built themselves back up. Just had a 9-3 season. And even though their schedule is brutally tough next year, should absolutely have the expectation that they can at least compete for, if not outright make a college football playoff spot. I mean, they controlled their own destiny to get to the playoff this year, in all likelihood. They just went up to Oregon and lost, and they gave up 42 points. Now, that doesn't make you feel very good. If I just told you that, you'd say, well, it sounds like Lincoln Riley should want a new defense coordinator. Yeah, if you look at the way that D'Anton Lynn recruits, if you look at the way that the defense has improved since he got there in 2024, you would know USC wants to hold on to him at all costs. And it would be, I think, a really bad look if USC lost its defensive coordinator to a lateral move to a program in its own conference. On the other side of that coin, if Penn State is able to hire him away, boy, that says a lot about the Nittany Lions program. And he's a former Penn State guy, so there could be that element to it if you want to try and soften the blow, but you're USC. You're supposed to be rebuilding. You're supposed to be coming back, getting back to their former glory. The recruiting's finally there. If Penn State pulls their defense coordinator, not a good look for the Trojans, would be a great look. Great look for Matt Campbell and Happy Valley. So I don't think it is a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, based on what I've been told, that even one of these guys is going to wind up at Penn State. I think Pribula would be the more likely of the two, just because there's not going to be as stiff a competition. Now, certainly Pribula could go to a number of programs and start. But of the top three that I mentioned, and there could be some other ones in the fold as well, anytime you got a transfer quarterback, I don't know if he would fit down at Miami. I don't know if that doesn't feel quite right. Would Indiana take a guy like Beau Pribula? Certainly could. They've been more of the pocket passer mold. He's a dual threat. I could see. I think Curt Cignetti could do it with anybody because he's winning at Indiana, for goodness sake. But does that feel like a one-to-one fit? No, not exactly. But if the three leading candidates for Beau Pribula's services are Virginia Tech, Penn State, and Washington State, if Matt Campbell wants him, he should be able to go get him. If a bigger school gets into the fold, okay, maybe you might just lose out on the guy. But from a financial standpoint and a recruiting, portaling, whatever you want to call it, standpoint, Penn State should be able to get Beau Pribula if that's who they want, even though James Franklin is down at Virginia Tech. If they were to come in with a good offer and say, we'll give you this much, Penn State should be able to offer more than that. Should. That's entirely a should. But the reason that I think that this would be such a good fit is not just the familiarity, because obviously it's a brand new coaching staff, but I think Matt Campbell's got to have that certain floor of production in 2026 to kind of steady the ship. Because Penn State going 6-6 this year, when folks like myself and others picked them to win the Big Ten or even the national championship, the fan base is not exactly thrilled with where the football program is currently at. So you've got to have, even if you don't think that Beau Pribula is a world beater at quarterback or is the best that you will ever have during Matt Campbell's tenure, he might not be. Frankly, I don't think that he will be. But if you bring him in for 2026, I think that gives you a certain floor that'll establish a baseline level of credibility with the fan base and also give you a chance to compete for a college football playoff. So, some earthquakes could arise. Could arise up there in Happy Valley. Let me know your thoughts in the YouTube comments below or hit me up on Twitter, however is easiest to get in touch. Speaking of the transfer portal, boy, a couple of big-time names out there. First, this episode brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays always show up faster than we expect. And if you're still putting together gifts, last-minute decor, or getting your home ready for guests, Wayfair has you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresh, new bedding, or those final seasonal touches, Wayfair makes it easy to get what you need fast. Wayfair is truly your one-stop shop for everything home, with decor, furniture, kitchen essentials, gifts for every style and every budget, all delivered quickly and easily. Their selection is huge. It is a Christmas buffet of items to get yourselves ready for the holidays. The best way to get your home holiday ready without running around to different stores or breaking the bank, Wayfair's the way to go. Get last-minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com, Wayfair. Every style, every home. This episode also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. That I get my lines from for the best bets, which frankly you should fade. It's a move that would have paid off very well if you had done so every week throughout the course of the season. I'm not proud of saying that. I'm just giving it to you real. NFL Sundays, they move fast. One big play, suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game. You're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. And if you want to bet the college football playoff, boy, FanDuel's the place to do it. Oregon, 21.5. Do you think they're covering that against JMU? Might want to check the weather forecast if you think that's automatically happening. If you think Tulane is going to get blasted by Ole Miss again, even though Lane Kiffin isn't there, 17.5 is not too many points for you to swallow. If you think Alabama's getting it done, they're now an underdog, according to FanDuel. It has swung in that direction. It was Bama minus 2.5. It's now Oklahoma minus 1.5. Whatever you're feeling in the college football playoff, FanDuel has you covered. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com, and you can also place NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. When the transfer portal opens officially on January 2nd, some guys will already know where they are going. I don't know if Nick Marsh, the wide receiver from Michigan State, will be one of those guys. I just know he'll be one of the highest impact players to change teams in this upcoming portal cycle. The reason that is the case is Nick Marsh was a pretty big time recruit. It was a great get from Michigan State. He's been very productive the last 2 years. New administration coming in, Jonathan Smith out, Pat Fitzgerald in, Nick Marsh is in the portal. This is a guy, trying to not sound like Chris Collinsworth, but we all hear it every time we say the word guy. Now here's a guy who's had over 600 yards receiving each of the last 2 years, which is crazy for 2 reasons. Number one, actually 3 reasons. I'm going to go 3 reasons why it's crazy Nick Marsh has been that statistically productive over the last couple of years. Number one, there are a lot of really good defenses in the Big Ten. Number two, Michigan State has been pretty dreadful for the last couple of years. They have won, nine games in the last 2 years? Yeah, not good. It's why Jonathan Smith is no longer employed in East Lansing. And reason number 3, Jonathan Smith has an offensive philosophy that is predicated on running the ball and heavy set play action that uses its tight ends as much as its wide receivers. Nick Marsh is a game-breaking, game-changing, number 1 caliber wide receiver for a Power 4 school out there. The last guy that I can remember that transferred from Michigan State that wasn't on the interior, that had this sort of impact, at least once upon a time was at Michigan State, was Jeremy Bernard. And Nick Marsh is a big-bodied guy, proven production, has 2 years of eligibility left. You might only get 1 out of him. He's so good that he could go somewhere, have more than 1,000 yards in a season, which he's absolutely capable of doing. And then he might go off to the NFL draft. That's the sort of guy he is. But is a wide receiver someone you would bring in for 1 year, Michigan, for 1 year to get a lot of production out of, even if you knew it wasn't going to last forever? Yeah, there are plenty of places that would say yes to that. So I'll talk about maybe the second best receiver that is in the portal right now or will enter the portal. We'll see what happens with Ryan Williams at Alabama. That whole situation feels very, very strange. Now, Michigan is probably too much of a mess, and as I record this segment, they still don't have a head coach to keep him in the mitten state. But would he be a fit there? Yeah. Is that the sort of system he's looking for? Maybe not. Maybe he's looking to go somewhere like a USC, where he could go and have the ball thrown to him a lot and replace Jacoby Lane if he doesn't decide to come back. I have to think about whether... Does Jacoby Lane have another year of eligibility? I don't know. I'd have to double check on that. He's a Jacoby Lane type of player. But the place that feels, to me, and this is just gut instinct, this is just evaluating him as a wide receiver and looking at the type of wideout he is, he feels like an almost 1-to-1 replacement for Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper at Indiana. Those guys are likely going to the NFL after this season, and man, if I were Curt Cignetti and I were that offensive staff in Bloomington, you got to figure out who your quarterback is going to be. If Brendan Sorsby is indeed a lock to go down to Texas Tech, you got to explore some other options. Maybe you get Sam Leavitt. You pair those 2 guys together. By the way, Sam Leavitt was at Michigan State once upon a time for whatever that is worth. I don't think he ever had a crossover with Nick Marsh, but I don't know. Maybe they'd bond over that sort of connection. That sort of tandem could become the next Mendoza to Elijah Surratt. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But Nick Marsh in the portal, wherever he lands, can go be wide receiver 1. He doesn't have those numbers yet. He still had 2 very productive seasons. Nick Marsh is really good. Another receiver, Jace Brown, very different type. This one screams USC to me. Again, that's gut reaction, not I've been told that this school is reaching out. Just thinking about where these sorts of guys would fit. Jace Brown, transferring from Kansas State, who of course didn't have the season that they were supposed to have. I thought they'd be a 10-win team, and they were a 6-win team. So fell a little short of expectations. Jace Brown's a guy that I don't think is wide receiver 1, but he's a darn good wide receiver 2 and can create explosive plays. He could be a wide receiver 1 in the right system. I don't see it. I watch him. I compare him a bit to Xavier Restrepo with better game-breaking speed. And Miami, frankly, in my head, would be a really interesting fit. If you paired him with Malachi Toney, you would have a Texas A&M level duo deep threat duo. That's what I should have said there. Because Malachi Toney, the true freshman, incredible. You put Jace Brown there, boy, you have got 2 serious home run threats on the outside. But again, these 2 guys, as far as portal wide receivers go, there are a lot of wide receivers that enter the portal, and plenty that wind up having more success at their new home than they did at their previous spot. Think about Zachariah Branch going from USC to Georgia, where he was fine at USC, but got lost in the shuffle a little, goes to Georgia, can be more of a focal point. When you watch the Georgia offense, he's making an impact. These 2 guys are that caliber of wide receiver. So I don't know who else is going to enter the portal as a wide receiver spot. Conservatively, I'll say these are going to be 2 of the 8 best wideouts to hit the portal this year. Conservatively. We could very well look back at the receiver portal market and say they were 2 of the top 4 and they entered before Christmas. But whoever picks up those 2 guys, game-changing couple of players. Wanted to note a couple of running backs as well to wrap this segment. So one of them has got more production. The other one, I'm a little bit more confident in. So let me start with the production aspect. Cam Edwards was at UConn this past year. And UConn, if you didn't know, won 9 regular season games, played a decent independent schedule. Jim Mora has moved on to Colorado State, going into the New World Pac-12. Cam Edwards is going to command a higher dollar figure than that, than what they'd be able to offer him in, I believe, Fort Collins, where Colorado State is. Hope I don't have that wrong. Anyway, Edwards is a guy that went for well over 1,000 yards this year. Really good back. Making a jump in competition. I'm not that worried about it. However, I could just as easily talk you into Cam Edwards being a Power 4 starting running back next year as I could Adam Muhammad. So this one caught me by surprise. Adam Muhammad was the backup at Washington this season. And Jonah Coleman, believe is done after this year. He's going to go to the NFL anyway. He was in line to be RB1 at Washington next year. Big, physical back who is shiftier than you think. Not a home run hitter, but I tell you, this feels like an intra-Big Ten transfer. Inter is 2 different leagues. Intra stay within the same league. Adam Muhammad, look, I think he could go to a lot of different places. A lot. And he could work out. Don't know if he's a huge pass catcher. Not a speed or a scat back. Definitely a physically bruising kind of guy. Reminds me a bit of J.D. McCray down at Georgia, formerly of Illinois. Maybe Georgia wants to go that route again. We'll see. But when I watch Adam Muhammad run, he feels to me like an Iowa back, a second running back maybe to pair with Justice Haynes at Michigan. Does he want to go to that situation? Maybe not. Indiana, I could see that. But his numbers are not going to blow you away. But just know, you put him in the right system, he will be a 1,000-yard rusher at a big-time program next year. The portal hasn't even officially opened, and it is heating up. You know what else is heating up? I hope. My best bets. And also, some ridiculousness. First, this episode brought to you by Rocket Money. Do you ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there. Suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. That's not good. You know what is? Rocket Money. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances. Because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. You'll like how Rocket Money automatically builds budgets based on past spending. It keeps you on track without overthinking it. The bill alerts and spending notifications help you catch small things before they turn into big expenses, not after, before. Take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Before I get to my best bets for week 1 of the college football playoff, round 1, whatever you want to call it. So, Yahoo Sports reported that next year's, this is a direct quote from the tweet they sent out, next year's college football playoff field will look different due to an agreement signed in 2024, assigning each Power 4 champion a berth into the postseason field, plus the highest-ranked non-Power League conference champion. If these new rules were used this year, Duke would have advanced into the field as the ACC champ. Gross. Bumping out James Madison. Okay. Plus, Notre Dame would replace Miami due to having a top 12 guarantee. Yeah. They're going to expand the field. That feels so ridiculously inevitable, and I hate it. Just fix the format that you have. No automatic bids. None. Factor in conference championship games as an opportunity to build your resume. No automatic berths. Unless you have to give one to the group of 5. I've heard it pointed out several times that the G5 gets a team in automatically so they avoid antitrust lawsuits, which is probably accurate. Okay, if one G5 team has to get in there, fine. I'm not losing that much sleep over it. I'm really not. Well, they're going to bump out a more deserving team. Yeah, but if you couldn't leave no doubt between yourself and a group of 5 team, I don't have that much sympathy for you if you get left out of the playoff. For BYU, I do. But that's because BYU should have been in the playoff over Miami. So, I think that what we're going to end up seeing is they'll just expand it to 16 teams. And then that won't be enough because the 17th team will get left out, and then we'll go to 24, and then maybe they'll stop. Maybe. But, I don't know. Expansionists don't really cease wanting to grow the college football playoff. That's just never been in their DNA, nor will it ever be. So I think that's unfortunate. Notre Dame's rule that they automatically get in if they're inside the top 12, completely and utterly absurd, especially when you look at their schedule for next year. So yeah, I'm not a fan of any of that, but I'm going to have to stash those thoughts for another day because we have urgent matters to attend to. My best bets have stunk this year, but there's no time like the present to turn it around. So, 45 and 54. It's about, hold on. Got to do some quick math here. Yeah, 45%. About 45%. Not good. Not good. Okay, here we go. 5 games. The 4 first-round playoff games. And then 1 bowl game. Yeah, that's right. That's how I'm going to get to 5. Fade the picks. I'm telling you right now. If you fade the pick, I can't blame you. Can't hold it against you. Can't be mad. Can't say you're just trolling, looking for attention in the comments. It's just a smart move at this point. All odds, of course, provided by our friends over at FanDuel. Ole Miss, minus 17.5 against Tulane. No Lane Kiffin, no problem. I just realized that. Tulane. Sounds like a Jeopardy before and after. Tulane Kiffin. Anyway, so game 1, 45-10 was the final score. I think between the 2 group of 5 teams, Tulane has the better chance unless the weather gets really bad and the forecast has been kind of come and go in Eugene. I think Ole Miss is going to roll Tulane. I think the Green Wave got a better chance than the Dukes against Oregon to hang around and keep it close if the conditions are good. But the weather could help out JMU a bit, though if the weather's bad, JMU might really struggle to move the football. But could make it hard for Oregon. So, Ole Miss minus 17.5 against Tulane. I'll take it and win the game 37-7. 37-13. I think Ole Miss gets it done comfortably. Oregon is swallowing 21.5, or some of you are, if you choose to take Oregon in the points. And look, it's a lot. It's a big number. 34-10. I think Oregon will get it done, do enough. If the rain, monitor the rain on that one. If it starts to get really cold and crazy, well, then Oregon might not be able to score 34 points. I don't know how James Madison gets to over 13 points in this game, whether the weather is good or not. Oregon's defense is too good. You have not seen but 2 teams this year go for over 200 yards passing against this Oregon defense. Those quarterbacks were Jaden Mayava at USC and Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, who have 2 NFL receivers on the perimeter each. So James Madison does not have that. Oregon wins comfortably. Oklahoma. This has swung around as I record this segment to Oklahoma minus 1.5. Don't care. Do not care. Oklahoma wins. Slugfest. Ugly. Low score. First to 20 wins. Might not even take that. I'm going to officially log it here. 17-13. Oklahoma knocks off Alabama for a 3rd straight time. Oklahoma's got the better defense, though Alabama's is good. I'm not saying a good thing about either of these offenses. Oklahoma is at home. Oklahoma's got the better special teams. I do not feel good about Alabama right now. And then we can have interesting conversations about whether Kalen DeBoer will then decide to go be the head coach at Michigan. So, Texas A&M against Miami, 27. I'll go 27 because I like the Miami front four. They'll hold to a couple field goals. 27-21. Texas A&M minus 3.5 against Miami. I think these are both go either way games. I really do. Point spread reflects that. I don't think it's a ridiculous take whatsoever, but I just like Texas A&M's explosiveness, and I think Miami can do that as well. This really just comes down to trusting Texas A&M at home. That's all it is. So I'm going Texas A&M, swallow the 3.5. I take Mike Elko over Mario Cristobal. That's a big factor for me in this game. Finally, Utah State minus 2.5 against Washington State. The Cougs lost their head coach. Mentioned earlier, Kirby Moore's headed there, the OC from Missouri. And Utah State, they've got their head coach. And giving up less than a field goal. Simple as that. Simple as that. Minus 2.5. So, Ole Miss minus 17.5. Oregon minus 21.5. Oklahoma minus 1.5. Texas A&M minus 3.5. Utah State minus 2.5. Is it a good idea to have 5 favorites on the board? Probably not. But you know what? We'll do it live. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.